This ought to be interesting.
Well, we're now
We had
live,
Locke,
ladies
and then he
and
disappeared
gentlemen.
again.
I'm here.
Locke's not even here.
There he
Alan's
is.
got children around him. This is the most professional podcast you have never watched.
And we're even live already.
That's
This is
right.
awesome.
So
we
I
are.
just want to say hello, everybody.
Well,
Thank you for
we're on
watching.
the air.
Thank you for watching. Yeah, see you guys later. Bye. Oh, wow. Amateur podcasting at its best. So, hello, everybody. Thank you again. You are, of course, watching the Crafty Boys, where we eat. Apparently, we eat. We drink craft beer. We talk about
beer.
Canadian man stuff, and basically just shoot the shit with lots of people we like. So, who do we have here this week? Of course, you have me, Shane. I'm always here. Who else is next?
I'm Alan, and I'm in Victoria. Somebody else has to talk.
Don't jump in at all, Dave.
I thought we were going to go in order. I'm Dave. We'll call it Comox Valley.
What kind of order are we talking
No, I
about?
thought we...
I have no idea. Basically, I was leaving it up to you guys, but apparently that's too hard.
Locke here in Vancouver.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
I think we're
Anyway, so of course there's a whole bunch of us here, and
Yes,
this week we are going to talk about a topic very dear to my heart, which I think everyone here should really jump on board and get a little bit more knowledge into their noggins about it, of whether or not if people can see your dick. Now I'll explain that in a little bit.
What?
So I just wanted to, first of all, I just want to see. I'm springing this on people because this is the secret topic for the week because it only just happened yesterday. But if you guys want to open another browser and go into your web browser and go to cantheyseemydick.com, this is probably the most important and the most crucial thing you can learn this year, which sadly, since 2013 has been something very, very important. Now, to give you a very brief synopsis of what the fuck I'm talking about the whole thing surrounding Edward Snowden. Now, of course, Edward Snowden in 2013 took a bunch of stuff from the NSA where he was working as a contractor and shared it to the world. Well, not the stuff, actually, but he made us all realize that there's a whole bunch of stuff in the shadowy world of espionage and spydom that basically the U.S., Canadian, and a whole bunch of other governments around the world are doing very naughty things. Now, the problem is, since 2013, no one has given a shit. No one cares. They don't understand it. It's too complex. The whole idea, the whole thing that's going on is just too big for anyone to really comprehend. So therefore, they don't have the context of how it impacts them. So the other day on Sunday on HBO, there's a little show called John Oliver. It's actually called Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. And what he does is he breaks down very complex things into words that basically the lay person can understand. And he went all the way to Russia to talk to Edward Snowden, where Edward Snowden is currently living in Moscow, and basically got the lowdown on what this whole surveillance thing is being conducted by many spy agencies around the world, specifically Canada, the US, and the UK, and a couple other governments. But those are sort of the primary three that are being investigated, or that have been revealed as being evil. But essentially, what Oliver did is he was there, and as Edward Snowden's, and if you've ever seen Edward Snowden speak before, he's a very high thinker. He talks about the technology as if people that have never touched a computer before would understand it. So during the interview, which I invite you to go to cantheyseemydick.com and actually watch the YouTube video there, John Oliver said, you know what, you're boring people to death. I'm bored, so how about we do this very simply? And so basically he's put it in the context, if you have ever taken a picture of your genitals and sent it to somebody somewhere in the world, they give you a breakdown on this website based on the program, from the context of the program that is currently out there, and we're talking like Upstream, Prism, Mystic, and a bunch of other ones, about whether or not government agencies can see your nude photographs. And these nude photographs, of course, are very important to Canadian men because we send dick pics all the time. So if you just want to take a look at that video and check out that website, it lays everything out in all of these big, huge programs that are very complex and gives you an idea of whether or not these agencies can see your junk. So, boys, what beer are we drinking this week before we dive into the topic?
Wow, that was meaty. Holy cow.
All
I'm
right,
drinking,
so- Alan?
yeah. What?
No, go. Tell us what you're drinking.
What? Oh, go. I'm drinking, I have a variety pack from Lighthouse Brewing here in Victoria. Right now I'm drinking Tasmen Pale Ale. And before we are finished, I'm going to dive into the Jackline Rhubarb Grisette.
Nice.
Which actually doesn't taste like rhubarb. It kind of tastes like raspberries. But it's apparently got rhubarb in it, and it's actually quite tasty. So I recommend it.
Cool.
Locke, what are you drinking?
Right now, I have opened the 4 Mile India Pale Ale.
Nice.
Runs in at about 6%, and it's got a guy with lots of medals and a kind of a hawk's head on the front. If you can sort of see, there's a label there. Yep. Now, earlier this evening, I couldn't resist. I've already busted this one open and drunk it. This one is the English Strong Ale. This one pops in at about 6.9%, and I got to tell you, it is delicious, and it is probably the most unique product that they've got on the line right now. One of the things I'll say about 4 Mile is that for all the, they're a little short on novelty products. Like, they don't have anything that's really like, oh my god, they made a what? The quality is totally there. These are very tasty beverages. So I've got that to say. Later in the evening, I'm going to pull out Spinnakers Belgian Porter. I wasn't actually sure that this was going to be bottled. I thought it might just be available on tap, but apparently they did. And to finish it off, from Nanaimo, Stoutnik Russian Imperial Stout. And I don't know, anybody who's seen this fancy-looking label will have been impressed in the past. And I'm impressed right now. There you go.
Holy shit. Okay. So what are you? The question should have been, what are you not drinking today? Dave, what are you passing over your tongue and down into your tummy today?
Well, I'm not going quite as balls deep as the other guys here. I only got one bottle, and it's this Morimoto Soba Ale.
Oh.
It sounds really trippy. Yeah.
Have you broken the seal yet?
I have, yes. You can see there is a seal broken. It's Rogue Brewing is who this is from.
All right.
And I think I did Rogue last time.
You did. 2 weeks ago we did Rogue, yeah.
I was pretty impressed with that one too, so I thought, hey, give this one a shot, and it sounds really cool. I like the color, for sure, and it smells, well, it smells like a beer. But it actually smells kind of fruity, which is weird. I swear it's got some fruit, notes if you want to get all fancy about it. But there's nothing supposedly fruity about this. I mean, it's a soba ale, and I think soba is noodles, right?
I think so, as far as
we'll see.
No expert in soba.
Yeah.
So, today, I'm rocking the Tofino Brewery, which I think is called Tofino. I think it's actually just called Tofino Brewing. And I looked after a neighbor's cat last weekend, and they have rewarded me for my efforts with the Kelp Stout, which is very dark, very yummy, and is, of course, always supporting the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So it tastes very much like a stout. It has a bit of a kick that tastes like the ocean, so I think they're quite successful with what they've created. I gotta say, I recommend it because actually, I'm full disclosure, I've had it before. And when they said, "Hey Shane, we're gonna bring you back a couple of growlers," I said, "Hell yeah!" And they have surprised me with the Kelp Stout and the some other one that I can't remember the name of at the moment. But that's okay. But I'm gonna leave that one because I want to savor that one. And so yeah, boys. I'm so happy that we're all here again. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been able to do this. Alan had too many baseball commitments last week, and Locke was sleeping. Dave was dead, and I just fell asleep. So there we go. So I'm kind of springing this thing on you guys mainly because this particular topic is very dear to my heart because I spend a lot of time on the internet and educate a lot of people about a lot of things having to do with the internet. And I've talked about this stuff before, but this is actually, and I gotta give it up for John Oliver for putting it in the context that people care about, because part of the interview, if you haven't seen it, this will not spoil it, is they did a sort of a man-on-the-street interview of a bunch of people, asking them what they knew about Edward Snowden, what they think Edward Snowden did, and of course, none of them really did. They were wrong in their answers, or they had no idea who he was. And then they talked about the programs, and this is the thing that I found really shocking, which is why I really wanted to talk about it today, was a lot of the people that were being interviewed on the street, and I think it was Times Square, were, not sure who Edward Snowden was, but didn't actually believe that these programs existed. And that was horrifying. And if only one person watches this particular episode, my job will be done. But as soon as...
I think
so
that's
anyway,
all
so
that
after
will be watching this.
the one or two people.
One.
But the thing is, they... as soon as they put into the context of how it would directly impact them, and of course they used dick pics, people got enraged. They got angry. They got upset about learning about these programs. So, by the way, here, have you ever sent a picture, a nude photograph of you, to your significant other? And they were upset when they thought about that, and then they reminded them about these different programs. So, boys, what do you guys know about this stuff?
I've never put a picture of my dick on the internet. That probably comes as a surprise coming from me, but I never have, and I don't know that I would really. If somebody did have a picture of my dick on the internet, I think I would want royalties. And that sort of leads me to the next question: is up to a point, you could see it being a privacy issue, but it depends on whose dick it is, doesn't it? Certainly, imagine they've got Ron Jeremy's dick, and they're looking at it. Well, I guess Ron Jeremy's dick is everywhere, so that's sort of maybe a bad example.
That one.
Yeah, his intellectual property has been breached so many times. It has been breached more times than Jenna Jameson. Let's say it that way. But imagine you're talking about Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton's dick has been in a lot of places as well, apparently. Though it's an open question as to Hillary Clinton is one of them. But if his dick were on the internet, you could imagine him wanting royalties, can't you?
This is true. This is true. Well, the reason that that the John Oliver show put it in the context of dick pics is one of the things that Edward Snowden revealed is that the NSA out of the United States, of course, captures a lot of data, and we're talking a lot of data. And one of the things that they apparently have done in the office and continue to do apparently is they will send captured photos of nude people to other people that they work with in their office. So to give you an idea of what they're kind of talking about is in 2008, laws changed regarding the Patriot Act and all kinds of other things out of the U.S. And the thing is, they bulk collect everything, and they do this in a variety of ways. The first way being that they just scour the internet and capture whatever streams they have access to. And you'd think that would be hard, but part of what Snowden revealed is that the National Security Agency has actually tapped into transatlantic cabling and trans-Pacific cabling and trans-Asian cabling out in the deep ocean. So essentially, they've got lines connected to these lines that we all sort of at the back of our minds would think are, are magic, for one, and that no one else is actively, able to view the information that's being traded between the continents. Well, that's not so. So basically, the security agency has a lot, and I'm just picking on them because they're the primary focus, of course, from shows out of the U.S. But other agencies like Canadians, we've got some here that do the same sort of thing. So they allow themselves to collect or they've given themselves the power to collect all kinds of stuff, which of course on the internet, when you're sending voice, you're sending video, you're sending photographs, you're sending text messaging, they collect it all because, they pretend and they say that they aren't collecting everything. They are not collecting stuff on citizens of their home countries. On the internet, how hard is that to avoid? It's almost impossible. So, anyway, basically what this means for a lot of people is that if you think you are sending private communications between you and somebody else, the reality is because of the requirements for places like Google, Yahoo, Facebook, all these sorts of things, they have data centers sharing the load all over the place, and they trade this information without us knowing about it between data centers, and some of these data centers are outside of the continental United States. So therefore, if you are sending, or if they are sending information on your behalf outside of certain borders and bringing that information back, that information gets scooped. So all of your crap, your email or whatever it is, gets added to their database. So in the context of a dick pic, if you email a dick pic to your, well, Alan, if you were to take a picture of your junk and send it to your wife via email, there is potential that that email will be captured in the system. So, yeah, it's very interesting. So now here's the thing, and here's what I really want to talk about, because I could talk about the technology for hours because that's kind of where I live. But the part of this interview was actually very, very interesting to me because I hadn't thought of it this way before, where Snowden put it this way, where these government agencies essentially are collecting all this stuff and asking their citizens to trust them. But the way that they're doing it is they are essentially putting a gun to your head and telling you to your face, we have a gun to your head, and we're not going to pull the trigger, but you have to trust us that we're not going to do that. So, what do you guys think? Let's talk about our dicks, boys, and whether or not we want foreign governments to share them in their office space.
Well, in my case, frankly, although I haven't put any, pictures on the internet yet, I think the answer is an unqualified yes. But I still haven't heard from Alan or Dave. Do you guys have any dick pics out there floating around?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
When I was in university, I was experimenting, and I was kind of living paycheck to paycheck. I needed the money, you know, and but no.
So it was
other
a
than
phase.
that, it was a phase. You know, I was
Sure.
you know,
Sure.
uh,
I mean, we all go through it, Alan. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, yeah, and so I mean, I did, and I'm not happy about it, and I'm sure it's out there, but it's okay because I had a mustache and like an easy one, and I think nobody would. You know, I kind of had a pirate hat on and like an eye patch too, and
Hi, my name is Alan. I am sailing the seven seas and plowing the waves, if you know what I mean.
Hind grinder.
Hind grinder. God.
You ever been blown ashore,
Dave, what about you? I don't suspect you have any dick pics out there.
Dave's got nothing.
No.
I think that's what
No.
we should do. Is we should make it our mission to get some of Dave on the internet. What we'll do is we'll all get together.
At this point, it might be a good thing, actually. Get me some action. Actually, no, it wouldn't get me any action,
Really?
so scrap that.
Actually, I really like the marketing of it. The idea of putting it in a sexual context and everything. It's going to make people click on it and learn about it. Whereas the dry way that it was being presented before isn't really going to do anything. I mean, nobody's going to pay any attention to it, and they weren't paying attention to it. Now they will.
Which I have to pause here for a minute to let you all know that the Flames took game 1 in the last 30 seconds of the third period with a single goal.
Hey!
You gotta be kidding.
So, of course, you got to remember where Locke spent a lot of his formidable years.
Yeah, no, I'm still sort of a Calgary boy. I got to say, Flames are my team. I live in Vancouver, but what can I say?
Hey, I don't want to get too far off topic here, or maybe we do, but I mean, I think the Flames are taking this series, and I thought it right from the beginning because of the Canucks they don't have it this year. Even if they did make it past the Flames, they're not getting past whoever they face in the next round.
It's true. It's true. So back to wow, I'm so sad. Back to the topic at hand. So Dave, we've established that you don't have any naked photos, and by the way, neither do I. I have not tried to make it seem like I'm suddenly,
Yes, you do.
showing my junk.
Oh yeah, you do.
I do. Oh God, I hope
Yep,
not.
I've seen them.
Right on.
There's a whole website dedicated to.
Shane's humongousjunk.net.
No, that's not what it's called.
So,
Something about
basically,
eating.
so what do you guys think about this stuff? I mean, I of course, I'm dropping this on you, and you may have never actually read any of this stuff or learned anything about it. So, I don't know. What do you think? Is this something we should allow ever?
Well, the other question is, what power do we have over it?
Allow sort of implies that we have control over it. Sorry, you were saying, Alan. Okay, I interrupted. Sorry, Alan, go on.
No, I think it was Dave that was
It was
talking.
Dave, actually. Go ahead, Dave.
Was it Dave? Oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying, Locke, that do we really have any control? Because Shane's saying, do we really want to allow this? And, well, do we have a fucking choice?
Yeah, it's called voting.
But for who?
Voting for what? Because whoever is in the States right now,
the problem is we're never
they're
going
all
to stop.
insane, it's not going to change.
We're never going to stop foreign countries from doing it. I'm talking about CSIS and CSEC and all the agencies within Canada, which of course all of them always say that they're not doing it to their own citizens. That is sort of the status quo for how they are always, because they're always asked the questions: are you doing this to citizens of country? Insert country name here, and of course, of course we don't. We don't do that at all. But in the context of the technologies, it's next to impossible not to. And I'm just saying that whether accidental or not, the collection of data that Canadians send across the internet is being captured. Now, of course, we can't vote out whoever's in charge of the NSA or anything like that down in the United States, but what about our own intelligence agencies? And I mean, this question could apply to whatever citizen or whatever country you're a citizen of, but I'm just saying, what do you guys think? Like, I'm talking, I want to talk.
Okay, so an actual application of this principle at an earlier time before this type of monitoring was, let's say, ubiquitous. Back in the early 90s, a friend of mine was quite certain that his phone was being tapped by CSIS because they seemed to be under the impression, as it turned out later, that he was a driver for people involved with Earth First, to various actions that Earth First were taking.
Right.
Which shows that they weren't completely idiots, but it never went any further than that. And so they spent all this time tapping his phone, trying to get the better of Earth First, who they had labeled as a terrorist organization. I question whether I regard them in the same light that I regard ISIS, let's say. Not exactly Al Qaeda, So in that instance, mostly what they recorded was a lot of him calling me up to see if I wanted to go and drink beer, or him talking to his girlfriend about stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, like, could some of it have potentially been embarrassing? Knowing him, he doesn't get embarrassed easily, so I'm going to say probably not. But it's one of those things where, I mean, at some point, it's sort of like, I've always sort of been paranoid enough to expect that there will be some level of monitoring of my behavior, regardless of how interesting or boring it could turn out to be. I don't think I'm involved in anything that's, worthy of such attention particularly, but there have been times where I've been paranoid enough to suspect that I was actually being singled out by, let's say, Victoria traffic cops. I don't know if that's true or if I was just imagining things, but I'll tell you, I can't think of anywhere else where I've gotten pulled over with the same frequency. Maybe that's just down to the fact that there's, in the larger area that gets nominally called Victoria, there are no less than 3, maybe 4 police departments, like if you include Oak Bay and Esquimalt. And I mean, so I don't know. I really don't know. But if you imagine East Germany under the Stasi had nothing like what regular garden variety Canadian old CSIS has in its arsenal in the way of surveillance technology. Take that and add to it, the rise of drones with cameras. I mean, it's possible that it's simply technologically the case that we've passed the age of privacy.
Well, and that's true because there's actually 2 things that I was talking about earlier today with some people on another podcast where you brought up drones with cameras. The Indian government is right now expanding a program that is using drones that carry pepper spray, and the drones are spraying crowds from above. They tried it out earlier this year with some sort of skirmish with, I've forgotten exactly what it was, but basically the Indian government as well as the Pakistan government government, I apparently can't talk, are both sort of loving this technology and whatnot. And the second thing that we talked about as well, one of the other things we talked about was how if you cross borders, if you cross into the States, or you're returning to Canada, the laws are currently interpreted in such a way and are written in such a way where if you have a computer with you, it is totally within their legal right to download everything off of your computer, be it a laptop, be it a tablet, be it a phone.
Yep.
There's absolutely no protection of privacy for people crossing borders, which is very interesting because if you don't, there's usually a fine of something like 25 grand was sort of one of the fines that was talked about in the articles we were referring to. So I mean, there's all kinds of ridiculous things that are happening in the name of security, and it's really sad. And this sort of the whole Edward Snowden thing. It revealed to the public that of these things that other people that follow these kinds of things already knew. Maybe not to the detail that Snowden kind of elaborated upon. So I don't know. I just find it very sad that we are in a world where you and all four of us here can run a video podcast over the internet, can share our opinions about things, but have that information accessible unbeknownst to us by some third party who may or may not who may or may not use it.
Are you worried that we have an audience?
Well, if in terms of the NSA, yeah, we totally do.
If the NSA are listening, all I can say is from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing, right? So, which, by the way, now that you're asking, I am just looking at each of our episodes here, and we're averaging about 20 views on the video. Whether or not they're watching the whole thing, I haven't bothered to look.
Probably not.
But I will tell you that the audio version of the Crafty Boys is averaging about 25 downloads. So who these people are, no idea. Whether they're listening to the whole thing, no idea. But you know what? Honestly, as we keep putting out our show and continually improve it and tighten it up and make things awesomer, the audience will grow, and we're doing it organically anyway. What kind of money are we throwing into this? Not a whole lot. So, thank you for that.
Yeah.
But essentially, I mean, reality.
That's what I'm here for, folks. Sound effects. Yay.
Sound effects, man. But that's kind of, I want to talk about on this program the stuff that we want to talk about, and I bring this topic up because something we could say could be interpreted against you, and actually one of the reasons I bring it up is that Locke, you're going to law school, you have to visit the UK on a regular basis. What if you say something on the show that they interpret as being bad, and they say, well, screw you, you're not coming into our country right now, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
chances of that happening
look, I mean,
low, but I'm just saying, it could happen.
Yeah, no. I see what you mean. I'd be surprised if that turned out to be the case. I mean, look, considering some of the people that they do lend to that country, I mean,
yeah,
there are people who have active historical records of saying that they think England are a nation of heathens that must be brought to the true path, and that all those don't should be purged of their evil souls, or shit like that. And I mean, those people still seem to somehow make it in. So I don't know. But I mean, you make a good point. There's an imbalance, I would say, from a legal perspective, between the level of scrutiny under which people are potentially held by the technology, and
exactly. And I think it's a slippery slope
the
into
extent to which people are interested in passing laws which are punitive for various opinions, beliefs, etc. And I mean, that's bridging into another subject entirely, which is the extent to which legislation nowadays is a product of vote getting rather than a product of good law.
Totally.
I mean, everybody wants to pass something which makes them sound tough on crime. In the United States, this has led to, for example, if you've ever wondered where the war on drugs came from, consider this. Food and drug legislation is one of the few areas of criminal law that's actually under federal purview. The rest of it substantially under state purview. So if you're running for federal office and you want to sound tough on crime, what are you going to talk about, right? I mean, other examples include things like, the Coroners and Justice Act in the United Kingdom, I would say was another example of vote getting, as was the Serious Crime Act. Both of those extended the level of fussiness regarding in the case of the Serious Crime Act, it extended laws regarding being an accessory to a crime or inchoate offenses and so on, but fundamentally, not much actually needed to happen there in order to rectify what was supposedly the problem. But they drafted this enormous bill. Why? Because it's crime, which is what every government wants to be seen to be doing before an election, right?
That's very true. It's very true. I mean, to me, it just really comes down to we're having a show here that we want to talk about, all kinds of sort of tongue-in-cheek man things. Which is reality, because it's fun to us. We want to do this. We want to have a show that's fun, that we like to do, that we like to produce. But I got to say, in the last week and a half, I've been reading over and over and over these sorts of stories, and then this John Oliver show did that piece, and it just kind of, in my mind, sort of everything sort of fell into place. Like the things that I could actually say and talk about, and actually not sound like such a fucking complete nerd. Because I've talked about this stuff and people just glaze over. They don't really care what I'm talking about, or they don't understand what the hell I'm talking about. They just think I'm spouting off like I usually do. But in the context of this show that we're doing, it kind of made me think about it again, about doing something publicly, privately, didn't really matter. But the stupid thing was that for some reason on Monday night I picked up my copy of the Minority Report because I wanted to read a little sci-fi, and if you've read the story or if you've seen the film, which is loosely based on it, basically it's all about people that are getting in trouble for thought crime, where they're getting in trouble for things that they haven't actually done, and whether or not that's a good thing. If you're preventing crime before it happens, that sounds like a great idea, but there's all the other stuff that's tied up into it, because maybe they changed their mind at the last second. You can't predict the future in that particular realm of things. So I'm assuming you guys know what the story's about, right? You've seen the film at least?
Oh, yeah.
So, it's
Roughly.
people that, they're getting arrested and prosecuted and judged and put into prison for crimes they've never committed. So, but they have these, in the story, they have these characters who are able to essentially see into the future, but they actually talk about it in the story, about seeing into the future in different ways, and how that they don't actually agree that the future is going to be what it is. So they have these various interpretations. So basically, our show, we drink beer, we talk about topics that we choose, but is there somebody out there that's going to listen to this, or even a snippet of this, and go, oh, those guys could actually be somebody we should watch? So, but of course on the internet, hell, who isn't watching us now anyway? Because I'm not really worried about the people.
I think that's the general rule, Shane, is if you don't want people to see or hear something or whatever, that just don't put it online.
And well, that's also part of the problem, because
No. If you don't want people to see or hear something, advertise using a pop-up window.
Yeah, exactly. Our show is at a pop-up window at a website near you. Anyway, so that was kind of that's really been eating in my brain for the last little while, and I just really had to kind of talk about it with you guys, because it's, I think, something really important, especially in the context of us doing a public show. But again, whatever, I'm not going to change my behavior because somebody might interpret something I say and or do, and or whether or not I do it with a show that we release online, or whether I talk to Alan via email and they read that and they're like, "What the hell? These guys are crazy." So, it's really neither here nor there. It shouldn't be happening. We need to do what we can as a populace to try and stop it, but or at least have a lot more oversight and transparency than there is right now. Because right now, by the way, this is something I hadn't mentioned. All of these decisions are done by a private secret court. So if somebody wants to know about you and they want to track you online and they want to do it with some legal context, you would never know about it till after it was all over. So there you go. Exactly. Which reminds me, Canadian law stepping up on the whole copyright thing. Don't download anything bad, or you could be paying a fee. Now that I've completely dominated the show with shit I wanted to talk about, fuck you guys.
Stop a second. I don't know if it looks like that for you guys, but like when somebody's speaking, the pictures of everybody else down at the bottom of the screen freezes, and I'm just laughing so hard at Lockhart's picture.
I think it depends. It depends highly on your internet connection, not to mention your.
Oh, okay. So I'm the only one laughing at it then.
So
Okay,
right now, throughout the entire time we've been doing this, I've been watching you guys in fluid motion. So sorry.
Yeah, all right.
Lock is not frozen.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything either.
Dave hasn't frozen at all tonight because when he does freeze, it's usually because his internet connection goes to hell. And Alan, I don't think you've ever dropped off. So basically, the trouble people are Locke and Dave, but I have to say tonight, neither of them have been a problem. So
good.
Yeah, well, it's been running pretty smooth, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I must say,
any other topics to talk about today?
I've just finished the Belgian Brewer, and I want to say that it was delicious.
Excellent.
Good.
I think I'm going to try some of that because the label alone is kind of cool. Any other things you guys want to talk about today before we wrap it up?
Well, one thing, Lockhart was saying at the beginning that he that 4 Mile just does like regular brews. They don't really do anything special. I don't know if that's true because I actually got a brew from 4 Mile. I want to say in March.
Oh, okay.
Maybe February. I don't remember what it was called, but it was a special brew. It was a limited time thing. And it was really good, and I know it was limited because they did the cap with the wax on it and the stamp on it, and it was expensive. I think it was like $8 for the bottle, but it was really
full
good.
Disclosure about the 4 Mile, Locke worked there for how long?
Oh, for a couple of years.
So he had the inside track for a while. And brought some really interesting brews to my attention at that point.
Yeah.
That was a number of years ago, though. Now, so there you go. So.
Yeah, but it's actually.
But yeah, I know. I still visit those once in a while, and I've got to say, yeah, good folks all around. If you're ever visiting the 4 Mile liquor store, be sure to say hi to Adrian. Good dude.
Dave, what is your sort of final review on the noodle beer you got?
The what beer?
The noodle beer.
Noodle beer.
Well, that's what you called it, so I'm just kind of going with that.
Well, sure, I like it. Yeah, it's good, but you know what? It doesn't taste a whole lot different from kind of a regular beer, in quotes.
Right.
That makes any sense?
I mean, there's nothing special.
So I don't know if it's worth. No. Now, having said that, I'm probably the least kind of aware of beerness of all of us because I don't usually drink much of it, right? So maybe if I'd had a few more of the so-called regular beers, then I might actually notice a difference with this one.
Okay.
But having said that, I thought this was it was good. I liked it. I would do it again.
You do it again? Locke, of course, would do his.
I would do it again.
Alan's holding up his bottles.
Yep. I just drank
What are
both
they?
of them.
What are they?
They were very good. I really have to go with the Jackline Rhubarb
Yeah.
Grisette. If you can get a hold of it, it's actually really good, and it's by Lighthouse Brewery out of
You also
Victoria.
said that it didn't taste like rhubarb, or it didn't. It wasn't flavored
You know what?
rhubarb or
It
something.
doesn't taste like rhubarb to me. It tastes like raspberry actually, um, but it's really good. It's a 5.5%. I don't know that you can get it in the bomber bottles. This is like the um, smaller 355 ml bottles. And it comes in the variety pack, the 12 variety pack. So I would try that but you also get the Tasman Pale Ale, and you also get other beers. And I don't remember what they are, so because I've already drunk them. Oh, you get the Bowline Pilsner and something else. Escapes. Yeah, it escapes me. Never mind.
That beer that was really good that I don't remember because I drank it.
Yeah,
I give
it
it a
was
thumbs up
really
for
good.
the. I give it a thumbs up for the Tofino Brewery people who have never. I mean, I've probably had their beer maybe 4 or 5 times in the last say 24 months or so. Um, and just because I like Tofino, when I was growing up, that was a holiday place, and I wanted to support any brewery that is up there. I certainly hope they really are up there because we've also learned many, many times that sometimes the breweries we like are not necessarily where we think they are, or being brewed by who we think they are. So I
Hey,
recommend I
let's
recommend this stuff.
decide who we're gonna be or what we're gonna be drinking next.
Yeah. So are we all going to drink the same thing next week, or are we going to go crazy
I
like we
think
did
we
today?
should. I think we should do. But let's decide,
All right, let's
or
do it.
at least decide on a brewery.
We're letting
Problem.
everybody.
Whenever we do this, the problem is finding it in the stores, right?
Right. Right.
So it's got to be something that we can all get.
Okay.
Okay, can we all get Russell?
Russell Brewing. Yes, we
Well,
can.
some rust, yeah.
Well,
I
Alan,
would.
if you go with Cascadia, then I think I can swing it.
Yeah, I mean they've got lots of Russell.
Okay.
There's one there that I've been wanting to try. It's called the IPA, and that's IPEH, and
Okay.
it's a Canadian IPA.
Oh, right.
Dave, you got to do it. You got to jump in both feet and just have an IPA. Okay, you got to do
All
it.
right.
There's like
You gotta
so
do
many
it,
out
man.
there.
You
I can
gotta
tell you
do it.
right now, the chances I'm actually gonna like it are pretty damn low. But I'll
Well,
do it.
you're
I'll do it.
you're just gonna try it. Okay,
I'll
be
take
a
one
man.
for the team.
I love it when Dave says that.
Take one for the team.
It's very
So,
Canadian.
just to finish off here
Like,
tonight, we are going to be doing Russell Brewing, it seems, next week. I don't know if we've decided on exactly the beer to have, but
yeah, we'll figure it out.
just to close out before next week, where can people find you online, Alan, if there's any place at all?
On Twitter at Alan M Ford. That's ALAN M as in Michael FORD.
And
My
what
middle
about
name's
you,
not Michael.
Dave?
Well, the only place that's any good at the moment is Google Plus.
Which I love, by the way. That's amazing. What about you, Locke? Anywhere anyone can, if they want to follow you?
On Twitter.
On Twitter, that's right. And of course, if you want to know about anything I'm doing, you of course can land at shanesworld.ca or on the Twitters at Shane B. That's Shane B. Double E. Yeah. So thank you guys for coming back. Thank you for tolerating my obsession about technology and surveillance. I promise I will not do that again because I've now had my say and blah blah blah. And next week, let's talk about naked women or something.
Okay,
I'm fucking all there.
I'm all right.
Excellent. Thank you guys again, and see you all next week.